How's it going, y'all? My name is Zayden Anderson, and this is the Moscow Minutes. I'll be giving you the latest from the Latah County Commissioner meetings from the week of February 6th, 2022. This was a packed week with a lot going on, but I'll give you a few of the highlights now. Property tax exemptions, public defense procedure updates, increased camping fees, updates to the annual budget, and a request for funding for the regional airport. Let's get started. The county commissioners were busy last week with the Idaho Association of Counties event. So in order to catch up this week, Monday's meeting was chock full of action items that the commissioners needed to either approve or deny, sign, and file. I won't go into the details of all of them in this video, but suffice to say that they included some appointments and reappointments to various commissions within the county, a few liquor license renewals, and a few that had to do with fund transfers and county records. The biggest chunk of action items by far were a set of property tax exemption applications filed by a number of nonprofits, churches, fraternities, and volunteer societies within the county. Of these applications, all on Monday were approved by the commissioners for tax exemption. The commissioners then moved into an executive session to discuss a personnel issue for an hour. When that session ended, the commissioners met with the regional coordinator for the Public Defense Commission. The coordinator, working with counties throughout the state, asked about any changes that had occurred or were likely to occur in procedures or policy regarding Latah County public defenders. The commissioners responded by saying that no changes had really occurred in the past couple years, and also that no changes were likely to occur given their track record. There's not been many complaints regarding Latah County public defenders, and that's something to be thankful for, as Commissioner Lamar mentioned that not all counties in Idaho have it as good as Latah County does regarding the quality and commitment of their public defenders. Next up, the Parks and Recreation Director met with the commissioners to discuss an increase in camping fees from $5 per day to $10 per day. Just a quick note, no fees were actually increased at this particular meeting. The commissioners need to hold a public hearing to discuss the actual increase of the fees, and they actually signed off at this meeting that they would have a public hearing in this regard. The main issue of debate here was whether or not this fee increase was essential for the time being, and whether they would commit to the increase happening for 2 years or 5 years. Throughout their discussion, the Parks and Rec Director affirmed that camp fees are really more of a break-even deal than a profitable venture for the county, and that in past years when there has been a fee increase, they had received very few complaints regarding the fee increase. The commissioners approved of that, but they objected to committing to the fee increase for more than 2 years, as this would obligate future county commissioners to those prices without giving them a say. They resolved to continue the conversation at a later date in order to establish a yearly plan for these prices, and with that, Monday's meeting concluded. Wednesday's meeting began with a public hearing on the 2020 through 2021 annual budget, being reviewed at the end of its term and at the beginning of a new year. This hearing functioned more as a cleanup of any areas which held a negative balance in the past year, and planning for those increases going into the new year. The overages, divided into their respective categories, represented just over $240,000, which is just about or less than 1% of the whole of the annual county budget. The commissioners approved the adjustments to the budget that accounted for the overages with no additional cost to the taxpayer. This was followed up by a short series of property tax exemption applications, one of which was denied. In this case, the piece of property owned by the Potlatch senior citizens, does not currently fit the criteria for property tax exemption, but potentially could in the future if changes were made to the property. The commissioners recommended that the property owners be put in touch with the county treasurer, B.J. Swanson, to best sort this issue out and come to a conclusion beneficial for all involved. But ultimately, they were forced to deny the property tax exemption application at this meeting. The commissioners then held a short meeting with the grants department, which gave them an update on what they've been up to this past month and what grant-related issues are likely to spring up in the near future. Lastly, on Wednesday, the commissioners heard a request for additional funding for the Moscow-Pullman Regional Airport. Paul Kimmel, a representative of the airport board, presented his case before the county. Currently, the airport needs $10 million in pledged funds by the end of March of this year in order to effectively accomplish the plans they've provided for the airport's expansion. They have acquired these funds from various public institutions, including the cities of Moscow and Pullman, Washington State University, University of Idaho, and a good number of other public and private institutions. However, they are still $480,000 short of where they want to be, and so Kimmel requested that the county take charge in this area by utilizing ARPA funds to make up the difference. As things stand, Latah County has in fact already committed a fair sum of money to the airport's expansion construction, and the ARPA funds earmarked for ventures like this expansion need to be spread amongst other county-related entities as well, which also need funding. Therefore, the commissioners agreed to withhold approval of these funds until they had A, more information regarding the expenditures that the airport needed to make and what these funds would grant them, and B, after they had met with the county ARPA committee to discuss the use of these funds. So, no funds were pledged or committed during this meeting, but the commissioners look forward to discussing the use of these funds in the near future. And that is the last from the Latah County meetings of this past week. As always, we'll have the appropriate links posted with this video, so please check those out. And if you have any further questions, let us know. This is Aiden Anderson with the Moscow Minutes. See you next time.